Hello everybody, this is Professor Cipriani and this video is about the final project. It's an overview, and if you have questions after watching it, please send me an email and I'd be happy to answer specific questions. This course requires a final project instead of a final exam or a final term paper. The final project has several steps that are required of it, and the point of it is that because I don't know everything, nobody knows everything, and people have various interests, especially those who are taking this course, Youth in America, and we're not going to cover all the different topics. So I'm hoping that you choose a final project topic that is of interest to you that we can all learn from. The steps of the final project are intended to make sure that everybody is doing some research that is appropriate to the course materials, and also that what you're doing is sophisticated enough that we can all learn from it. So after you watch this video and you think a little bit about what you wanted to learn when you signed up for this class, you're going to create your project pitch, which will be due at the end of next week. Once I give you feedback, you will create an annotated bibliography, which will be due at the end of week 7. Your colleagues will comment on that, and then you'll start your research. And I'm doing this early in the semester because I'm hoping that as we cover the other materials for this course, you'll be thinking about your project and you'll be thinking, hey, I can include this when I'm presenting my research. And maybe some of the things that you read and experience in this course will lead you to other sources of research for your final project. So week 7 will be the annotated bibliography, which I will explain in more detail in a little while. Posting your project will happen in week 14, the week after Thanksgiving. And the last few weeks of the class are spent commenting on other projects that you review and moderating your own project discussion to demonstrate to me that you have mastery of your subject. So you're not just going to be saying, great job. You're going to be talking about the project that you reviewed to demonstrate that you've engaged with it. And when you come back to your own project thread and people are saying things to you, your answer can't be simply, I agree. It needs to say, I agree, and these sources have said this about your question, and this is what I understand from my research. So the discussion here is going to be a little bit of a higher caliber, and the requirements are that you're going to be showing me what you learned and how you've mastered your topic. So that will be the last 2 weeks of the course. You will be asked to review 10 other projects in the course of 2 weeks. That's 5 projects per week, and go back and review your own discussion thread and answer the comments associated with that thread. Now that you know what the final project will look like at the end of the semester, the next thing you need to think about is, how do I start? And for this research, I suggest that you start with what you came to this course expecting to learn. What did you think you were going to get when you signed up for the course? Look at the syllabus. See if that topic about youth in America is covered. If it is, you can look at what we're going to be doing and expand on the topic. If it's not, create the topic and teach us about it. Those of you who are in early childhood or education or psychology as your major, use your field of expertise. And actually, this goes for everybody. Use your field of expertise and bring your knowledge into your project. As long as all your sources are documented, we should learn from you, and the critical thinking that will come back as we ask you questions may bring you to new research for other classes. You need to know that there are many ways to do this project, and as long as what you're doing is well researched, well documented, and well presented, you will do well in the class. And throughout the semester, you'll be taking specific steps that are scaffolded into the course so that you're not just the week before it's due throwing something together. These are those interim steps. Week 5, you will present your project pitch. You will get feedback from that pitch, and from that you will formulate what your project will be about, including a working title and a focus for the rest of the research. By week 7, based on the feedback that you get from me and your colleagues, you will present the basics of your project: the working title, a preliminary list of sources, a working thesis, and then you'll comment on your colleagues' posts. Part of that preliminary list will be that you will be asked to present an annotated bibliography of at least 8 specific types of sources. 2 of those sources should be from our course materials. 4 authored secondary sources that you find in the course of your research make up 6 of those 8, and then 1 reference to a class discussion that you can put as a placeholder, but by the time you've finished your final project, you need to refer to at least 1 class discussion and 1 event that's happening now, either a current event or something that's going on in popular media that reflects what youth in America today is either influenced by or is influencing in terms of your topic. By week 11, you should be putting the whole presentation together so that by the end of week 12, you're ready to finalize the presentation and upload it. I will say this again throughout the semester. I'll post it. You need to make sure that whatever you present, we can open it in Brightspace. So if you're going to do a YouTube video, you need to make it public, at least for the course of the class, so that we can all access it. If you're going to do TikTok, or if you're going to do some other platform, if you're going to show how youth in America uses media, you can use any media platform. Just make sure that we can all access it, because if I can't open the project, you get a 0 for the project. So that's something to be aware of now. But that's part of the finalization of the project. And when you go back to moderate your discussion, you may be getting 3 or 4 people saying, hey, I can't open your project. And at that moment, what you need to do is make sure that it's public and re-upload or respond to your own discussion thread saying, here's a project that you can actually open and look at. But that's finally finalizing that in week 12 should be what you're doing. And then right after Thanksgiving, the rest of the course will be reviewing other people's projects, commenting on those projects in a specific and significant way, and then bringing your knowledge back to your own thread so that I can understand that you have a mastery of your topic. What topics can you look at? The project itself should choose a topic that is U.S. youth or youth in America and education, youth and labor, youth and slavery, youth and politics, youth and war, which is a little different than politics, youth and gender and or sexuality, youth and media in many forms, youth and gaming, youth and playing games of many different types, or youth and climate change. Or if you don't like any of these topics, you can present a different one in your pitch, and together we can formulate it into something that is appropriate for the class. How do you present your topic once you finish the research? The format of the project should be in the form of ideally something like a short documentary or podcast, a blog or e-zine. It's not going to be a zine because we're not live. You could do an original photo essay, and if you do something like that, you need to credit the photos that you're using. And you could do a short original video, which is slightly different than a documentary. The video tells a different type of narrative than the documentary would. Documentaries use more primary sources. So if you were going to do a documentary, you would be interviewing actual youth in whatever topic you're focusing on. One great presentation that I got one year, about 10 years ago, looked at the effect of Disney princesses on young people. And the person who did this documentary interviewed people at school, and they told her what Disney princesses they loved and how they thought of them. And then she went and she interviewed children about the Disney princesses. And then it was very interesting because that part of the documentary also asked the kids, what would you think if two princesses got together? And it documented their reaction. What do you think if we had some thicker princesses? And that documentary, unfortunately, it's been taken down. It was 10 years ago, and I suspect it was taken down because the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds that are now 13, 14, and 15-year-olds did not want to be shown anymore. If you do a documentary like that, which was fabulous, I have to say, you need to have in your bibliography, which will be part of what you present, and I will talk a little bit more about how you present your final project, but in your list of resources, you're going to have to identify the primary sources, and all of those interviews would be primary sources. Interview of whoever by you, and the author in those cases, whether it's in MLA or APA format, the author is the interviewee, interviewed by you on whatever date and in whatever place. Documentaries are difficult to do, but they're also really, really good in terms of primary sources, original research, and new learning. In this moment, I will say to you that your presentation of your material cannot be more than 10 minutes long. I strongly suggest that whatever you do, whether it's a documentary or a photo essay, it takes your peers no more than 5 to maybe 7 minutes to review the entire thing that you're teaching us, because we do have to do 10 of them, and people's attention span isn't much longer than 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm throwing that out there also because our semester is not forever, and it takes a very long time to edit any video like this one. I'm not going to edit a lot, and I apologize to you for that. But if I were to edit a 5-minute video a lot, it's going to take me 5 to 15 hours to do that well, especially if I'm doing more than just simply showing a slide. So that's something to think about as you're choosing the format of your final project. The interim steps to the final project, as I've said before, week 5, you're going to present the pitch, including the topic, the rationale, why you want to focus on that, the format that you chose from the list that I just gave you, and you're going to comment on 2 of your colleagues' pitches with suggestions for research, especially from your field of expertise. If you're looking at X, I know this and you should look at these sources. You might say something like, in terms of alternate topic wording, this title isn't what you mean, doesn't say what you mean it to say. You might want to shift the words around so that it makes more sense. And then as you're looking at the pitch, if they've forgotten to include the rationale, or if they haven't said what format, you might ask them that, because what you're trying to do here is help everybody to succeed. So if you notice that they've missed something, let them know so that they can go back before I grade it and add those things. 7, the revised thesis, the annotated bibliography. 14, post your project. 14 to 16, you'll review 10 other projects, and that will be the end of the semester. So again, this is the same thing as I said before: the topic, rationale, format you intend to use, and your starting research questions. Those are going to be very important. Once you do that, you'll comment on 2 of your colleagues' posts, and those research questions that you start with are going to become, in the end, 2 questions that people should be thinking about as they review your research. The annotated bibliography, again, will be 2 course materials, 4 authored secondary sources that you find from your research, 1 reference to a class discussion, and 1 reference to a current event that demonstrates how your topic refers to youth in America today. So when you post your project, this is very important. Your project will be a subject of your choosing, and it will be in some media format that people can click on and either listen to the blog or watch the video, or even if you have to do a PowerPoint, which I would really prefer that you don't do, but if you choose to do that, they need to be able to watch the video of that. So if you're going to do a PowerPoint, it's going to be a PowerPoint with a voiceover that people will, click on a YouTube video of that and watch it that way. When you post it, you'll post a link to that project itself, and in that introductory window that you get when you do a discussion board, you will give a short description of the project. You will obviously give the title, and if I'm going to say this right now, if the title of your project, when you post it, you have to give everything a subject. If the title is Final Project, you will immediately lose 10 points. The name of your discussion, the title of that discussion needs to be the title of the presentation. Youth and Labor in the 1950s. Whatever it is, it cannot be Final Project. In that window, after you've given us the title, you'll give us the subject and the format that we are going to be experiencing from your project. You're going to give us a 2 to 3 sentence rationale about why you chose to do this particular project in this particular way, and then you're going to give 2 questions that we will think about for our discussion in the end. So these are the 2 questions that people should be thinking about as they review your project. And it can't be a why question, and it can't be a question that people can just answer yes or no. It needs to be a how question, a who question, or a what question. The point of those discussion questions is so that if you do a fabulous presentation and there's nothing that anyone can say about it, they will be able to, in their discussion thread for you, answer your questions. All right, week 14 to 16, you'll review the 10 other projects. So you get 2 grades for the final project. You get a grade on the project itself. And if it fulfills all the requirements, it's got the 4 authored sources, that refers to the discussion in the class, it refers to all those things that I talked about earlier, and it's coherent and it's not plagiarized and all that stuff, you will get 1 grade for that. You'll get a 2nd grade for your discussion and moderation. So you get 50 points for reviewing 10 other projects. And then you get another 50 points for commenting on your discussion thread. So if you only comment on your discussion thread and you don't review 10 other projects, you get 50 as the highest grade. Likewise, if you only comment and you don't go back to your own discussion thread, the highest grade you could get there is 50 because you've only done half of that part of the grade. So those 2 grades will be your final project grade, and on the last day of the course, you will post course reflection, and that's also the last day that you will be required to respond to other people's comments on your thread. After that, all the work goes away so that I can make a grade for you all, and what you'll be graded on is the project, your discussion responses, and your comments to the 10 other posts. Okay, hopefully it makes sense, and if it does not, please send me an email, ask me specific questions, and after you post your project pitch and you get feedback, I think things will make a lot more sense. So I hope that helps, and I look forward to hearing from you.